Welcome, everyone. Fantastic. Thank you for joining today. We're very excited to be here and having the opportunity to share learnings and experience with the audience today regarding the office recovery. It's organized by Real Estate RE News, which is really the news and marketing platform for commercial real estate across Europe. It's a matter of introduction. My name is Bibo Wijnbergen. I'm your host today for today's event, CEO co-founder of Infinite Space, and I'm very honored to have a panel of very interesting participants today. Let me allow to introduce them to you. I would like to start with Monica Yunis. She's a director at Capexus, build and design company and workplace consultancy firm, serving clients like Renault, Savills, T-Mobile. Capexus is, by the way, also a founding member of the Studio Alliance and also a partner. Monica, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Weber. Good afternoon and good morning to those across the ocean. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Second panelist is Jan Tauk, founder and CEO of Join21, the Google Earth for organizations. The organization, the company really allows teams and individuals to see how information flows or doesn't flow through a company's network of various teams. I think Join21, I was really impressed as with clients of governments and global enterprise companies. And Jan, thank you for joining us from Oslo and Norway today.
It's a pleasure to be here, and Viking regards to everyone.
Then third one in the panel, this panel today, we have Bogdan, and I hope I pronounce this right. I practiced a couple of times together with Bogdan. Niguaria, I hope I said it right, but definitely correct me when I fully introduce you. Founder and CEO of Bright Spaces, a development platform that reinvents the way office space is being showcased and offered as an end-to-end leasing platform. So it really allows landlords to service brokers and tenants. Bogdan, welcome to today's panel discussion.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And you said it almost perfectly, so I'm glad, because it's not an easy name to say.
I will not ask you to pronounce my last name. Last but definitely not least, Bart Zakorodnik, founder and CEO of the biggest Polish commercial real estate advisory company. Bart, welcome. I believe you guys are specialized in office, industrial, and investment and hospitality advisory. I understand, and that's going to be very interesting, only during the COVID time, so the last 18 months, you advised about 130,000 square meters of office space. So I'm very interested to learn more. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me.
Now we have introductions out of the way. Welcome, everyone. The audience and of course I myself are definitely looking forward to hearing more about your views on the future of office space and definitely learn from each one of you. Just a side note to the audience, if you like to ask any of the panelists a question, please share these in the Q&A. We will allow some time at the end of the panel discussion for your questions. So anytime you feel that there is a question that you would like to ask one of the panelists, please do share these in the Q&As. All right, introductions out of the way. Definitely let's start with these first questions. And I'd like to start with you, Monica, if that's okay. I'm really curious on how it's been the last 18 months. The entire world has been affected by the COVID pandemic. I would love to hear from your side how it's been for Capexus when companies needed to have their employees work from home. Could you share a bit more?
Sure, thank you. It's a big question. Where do I start? 18 months ago, back in March 2020, when the first lockdown came here in the Czech Republic, we were in Capexus, we were not affected immediately because we were in the middle of designing for companies who signed their leases back in 2019 or renegotiated or decided to renovate their offices. So we were lucky that all of our projects went ahead. None of them were frozen. But obviously there were cases in the market where we witnessed that some major projects were put on hold. Typically, these were the big projects where the decision was made on a global level to freeze these projects. So we were still busy, but later on, let's say the slowdown came a few months later, where only with some exceptions, no new projects were coming in. And this was the time when we were actively, obviously, communicating with our clients, observing how companies are dealing with the new situation, and seeing different approaches of companies. I personally, I'm of the opinion that the change was coming regardless of the COVID. The pandemic situation was only some kind of accelerator of this change, which was coming. And just to show you example, because there were at the time there were only very few companies in Czech Republic who already changed the workplace, were implementing the flexible workplace concept. And typically these were the multinational companies where the direction was basically given from, again, from the global level. And one example I would like to share with you is T-Mobile. Obviously, everyone knows a major telecom operator. They took this decision to implement flexible workplace concept probably 2 years before the pandemic. And we were invited on board early 2019. And we designed basically the new flexible workplace concept. And because obviously at the time the building was fully occupied, their headquarters was totaling some 26,000 square meters, which is for some of you roughly 260,000 square feet, if I'm not wrong. And so the construction changes were scheduled in phases. First phase was completed end of just before the end of 2019, and early 2020 we were supposed to continue with the further phases. Obviously, when the lockdown came, the building was fully vacated. So this gave us some opportunity to speed up the reconstruction, the construction phase, so we could do bigger chunks at the time. So when we completed basically the building, it was before the T-Mobile could welcome their employees back in the office, obviously reflecting when the restrictions were lifted. So it was very positively welcomed by our client that they could welcome their employees in the newly renovated offices, which were designed to the needs, which dramatically changed so much in the meantime. So they were very glad to have these changes done before having people back in the office. So this was one example of that stream, that there were already signs of the change before COVID. But going back to summer 2020, it was an easy time because we just kind of closed the first wave, but there were some rumors about second wave of COVID coming, which unfortunately became true. Some took this message that yes, this is the signal that there are some changes going on, and we want to change as well. We as some companies, so we were having active communication with these clients and already starting discussing their needs. But not only their current needs, but basically trying to understand their business model, what is their long-term strategy, vision, what are their daily routines, what are the needs of the individuals, of their teams, how the teams work together, and basically trying to find the perfect scenario of the workplace. There is not just one model, like in the past. If I make it very simply, in the past we had open space, cubicles, meeting rooms, and in better cases, some nice kitchen or relaxed area. So now there are a number of concepts, but obviously there is not one suits all. So we were at the time we were already having discussions with some of these companies who were progressive and wanted to implement the new workplace concept. Yes, I would say that this was the trigger, and this is when the workplace analysis and workplace consultancy as a service really kicked in, and people started to see some benefits of this service. And obviously I can go on and on because the 18 months was a very long period, but just to summarize, basically now we feel that almost every single project involves some of that analysis, or we definitely recommend to our clients, and our clients starting appreciating to have this service to really analyze their needs, their requirements, and design the workplace which really suits them, not to all, because it's not only designing beautiful, pretty spaces, it's also designing functional spaces which needs to reflect the company's culture, their DNA, and some spirit, and their long-term vision and strategy, as I mentioned at the beginning.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Monica. Immediately pops up a few more questions that I have in my head, because I think you have collected so much information of all these companies and of course helped them to design the future of their offices. It would be great to indeed, I'll come back to you later just to ask what would be the best things for the office space or the future of the design. And it's also clear it's beautiful weather at your place. I actually have the same question for Bogdan. Bogdan, how was your 18 months? Your clients are landlords. How have they been reacting to the future of office space?
Well, because we are a very early stage startup still, we just finished our seed funding round, our second round. I would say that 18 months ago, we were just getting accepted into PyLab's acceleration program, a PropTech acceleration program. That actually gave us a lot of confidence that we are building the right thing for the present and the future of office space. Then we started implementing and selling our solution in early August last year. Now we have clients in Romania and in the UK already implemented and finished our second funding round. As I said, we are getting close to 500,000 square meters implemented with our solution, so close to 5 million square feet. And it was a very accelerated time for us, not only because we are a startup and this is how we live and look at ourselves, but also because COVID brought a lot of changes, as Monica said, and a lot of opportunities, I would add, even if it wasn't a very good time for everyone. I would say that in all difficult situation, we have to see the silver lining and the light at the end of the tunnel, so that we can eventually become stronger. And that's what we did. We saw that a lot of the things will change in commercial real estate. We anticipated some of them, not all of them. We iterated with some of the features that we were building so that they fit better with the new environment. And here we are today, where I think nobody still knows what the future of office space will be. We have some ideas about that, but I think the best thing that we can do, all of us, either service providers, landlords, brokers, tenants, is to be aware of the uncertainty, and to be very agile and willing to change different perspectives in order to adapt to the new environment.
Bogdan, thank you so much. Congratulations with another successful funding round. I introduced
Thank you.
Did I introduce Bright Spaces? Did I explain it right for the audience? Could you explain a little bit more what you do?
Sure. Very, very simple. We have a tech solution for landlords, for office landlords. And the benefits that we bring to them is faster leases, bring back time to their leasing department, and involve some very interesting capabilities for their ESG policy. Our solution has three main components. We have the showcasing solution, where we present in the best way their portfolio, projects, buildings inside each project, and available spaces within those buildings, together with the location features, amenities, construction characteristics, and even some default fit-out proposals for each space. Then we have the management part, where landlords can easily look at and see reports on their inventory for each type of space they have in an office building: office, parking, storage, retail, and terraces, together with the deal flow of potential tenants that they have. A lot of reports, and now we are getting into special features like commute analysis and even seating plan creator, so that in the pre-leasing process you can address these kind of issues very fast. And the third part is the connection to brokers, because consultants will play an important role now and in the future, maybe a more important role than before, just doing brokerage, like becoming the true consultants, as Monica said, understanding the tenant's need and the landlord's capabilities, and better matching them together. So we have this communication platform from landlords to brokers, and from brokers to tenants. This would be more about how our platform works.
Got it. Thank you so much. So I already have a question for you later on. I'll give it already to you so you can think about it. It's clear that office size, it's not like one size fits all, right? So I definitely want to understand how landlords indeed could react to different demands from tenants. I'll come back to you after I've asked indeed Jan and Bart their experience about the last 18 months. Jan, thank you for being here. How's it been for you the last 18 months?
Oh, it's struggle, as most of us, I guess. We're also a scale-up company that started in 2018, but it was 19 and 20 that has been kind of the main actions and the way we're building up. But I was actually thinking about starting in a little bit different direction, because our company is more of an organizational technology analytics company. So we're looking in the front of the moves and what you need to do. So by just seeing how all the organizations became distributed organizations, and you had employees all over the place, and people didn't really have a clue on how the flow of the organization actually was working. So what we did is then to try to understand how can we see how the organization actually works today, and then take their good things and the bad things and replicate that into the space. So for me, a space in the old days, it was always like you had to fit the organization to the office space, because that's what you got, and you had to just put the people in there. We wanted to turn that around and see, okay, so how can we do it the other way around? So you look at the organization and the needs of the organization as a network, and how they work as relationships, and you see the silos, and you see the isolates, and you see the people that are really, really central and taking a lot of the attention. And then you look at the different departments and maybe partners and others, and then you look at how does it look, and let's say that the product department and sales are not working together, and you see that from the network. If you were to do something with the space, I would put them together or close by and force them to talk together, because if you don't get input from sales, the products will be really, really bad. So there are some key things like that. But when we started, we were more looking at the problems, and And a lot of the latest problems has been related to how to find the right hybrid formula for my company. And that's also using the same data, and people are different. So when some leaders are saying, well, you can stay 2 days at home and 3 at the office, it doesn't really fit everyone. So that's why we think that if you do the right hybrid formula the right way, it will create the competitiveness, and you will increase productivity. But some late research now, it says that 20% wants to stay at home, 20% want to stay at the office, and 60% is curious about this hybrid and how that can work. And also the latest research that I saw just a couple of days ago was 60,000 people globally they had talked to, which were employees. And it's clear that productivity is increasing when you have everyone distributed, and they can be at their home and they can kind of fit their work schedule to everything else. But innovation is decreasing, so which is not a good thing. And it makes sense. So when we look at a lot of the data that we have, we can see that when people are home, you see that the thin relationship gets thinner, and the solid relationships get thicker. And innovation is all about connecting people more randomly, and so to find these ways of doing it. And that's how we try to focus on that. And just for everyone, there is this global report that some of you might have seen about the key problems for the CEOs globally. It's called Leading in a Post-COVID Recovery. And what the top struggles are: first, COVID-related disruptions. How can I fix my organization to adjust? The second one is accelerate digital transformation. How can I reach them if they are away? How well is our digital fitness in our organization? And also the hybrid ways of work. If I do that, what would that right formula be for my company? And then it's about improving innovation, modify the business model, because you have to modify the business model. If you do it the old way, it won't really work. And then you have to streamline the processes and lower the cost. And then the two last one is also recruit and retain top talent and develop next gen leaders. And that will be done in a different way. And if you do this, you get much more agile teams and an agile organization. So that's some of the stuff that we think is important.
Thank you, Jan. I find it super interesting on how you really look at an organization and work out how information flows between all the different departments. And it's really insightful to understand that productivity indeed increased, but innovation decreased. And in a fast changing environment, in a fast changing global environment currently, I think productivity is great, but innovation should be top of mind as well. So learning, I'll have a few more questions about how companies can then actually create that innovation and also keep productivity up. But first, I want to have the same question to Bart, and especially Bart, as you mentioned already to me, you advised about 130,000 square meters of office space during COVID time. Is that correct? I would love to learn more, because that sounds like you had a really good 18 months.
Yeah, that was the very busy time. As we are the advisory company, we are always near to our clients. And what's the most important, the COVID times are very tough for the tenants, for the companies, because it was absolutely something astonishing for everyone, and very unpredictable times in that time where everybody faced some kind of the problem, of the difficulties. And we were just near to our clients to analyze their situation. What's the most important after these 18 months? We can say something that Monica mentioned. Lots of projects were freezed, were blocked, were stopped. And now we are just facing the times about the new data, new researches. However, in my opinion, it's it's unreal, in my opinion, because in 95% of the researches, we are just asking only employees, what do you think about working from home? Oh, it's great. But we do not ask in the researches the managers, board members, directors, how it's impacting the business, how your company is working in that tough times. What are your SLAs? What are your KPIs? Is it delivered? Do you have any problems? And when we analyze it from the global perspective, just try to better understand the business and the current market, we can somehow find an office which is, in my opinion, 1.5. It's not even 2.0 office of the future, because we are still learning how we should work in the hybrid model. What does it mean for each company? What's the best model? How we can implement it? What's the best solution to, use the lots of IT stuff? Because in many cases, we just people said, okay, we are just in the process of IT transformation. What does it mean? We implemented Office 365. Well, being honest, it's something obvious that something is required, from the just IT perspective. It's not a transformation. It's just giving a step next to the, 21st century, not even the transformation, because the most important is some kind of better understanding and analyze it. What I can see during these 18 months, the companies and the board members, directors put more pressure and spend more time on analyzing their own companies. Decisions are taken based on the data. What's the most important for me, and I really believe that's the future. We should better understand where we work, what we do, what kind of company we are, what's future changes of the companies, and this is something that we faced during last 18 months in Poland. In many cities, we had a huge supply. We had a bigger demand during the last 2-3 years, and it was definitely the time for the tenants during the 18 months that changed in some cities to more to the tenants' times. But in some cities, we can face even the landlord market right now, which is the astonishing in some cases. But everything is, I believe, based on the how we will work in the future, what we should do. And this is the main question. On the other hand, the main question that we face is how much savings we can make on our office. And in some cases, when someone made a dramatic decision, okay, we have 500 employees and suddenly we'll cut the office space by half, and now they are having the big problems, especially when the people face the situation with the kids at homes and all the benefits of home office. But we still need to remember about the employees on one side, but about taking care about the business on the other side for the future, in my opinion. And this is something that we need as advisors, especially about the business, better understand how we can solve clients' the problems, what we should advise them, how to collect data, and even in the future try to use it, how to solve the problems of our future workplaces.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It was actually one of my questions. So what is the most asked question? And I was afraid you would say, yes, how can I actually save as much cost on my office space as possible? But it's clear that it's top of mind as well, because if we talk about people not being in the office every day, it's part of it is, of course, design. How do you bring them back? What kind of amenity should you create? It needs to be a place that you want to go to instead of just a space. Then, of course, indeed, the next question is, how much can I actually decrease the space itself as well? And so, Jan, I want to come back to you, because if we talk about innovation, and innovation only happens if you bring people together, it also means that it changes constantly. So you would almost say that, if you bring people together in space, in an office space, you're almost looking at space as some sort of fluent environment that adapts to the different needs of the company and the employees and the teams. And there maybe are different spaces needed in 6 months or in 12 months. Could you tell me a bit more on how you advise companies with regards to innovation?
There is when we are collecting data, we are looking at 3 areas. One is people, And that means that we have a pull survey, or we have a bot that can ask people, so we get it straight from the people's brain. But we also look at technology like Office 365 or Slack or other workplace, for example. And then you can see how the digital links are, and then you can compare that with the people network. So what we would, one question we will look for related to innovation is that, for example, who do you go to when you have an idea? Or if you have an idea, who do you go to execute the idea? So then you get you will see the people that are that have that kind of centrality, meaning that they are really strong on this. And as a manager, I would definitely bring these people closer and also select them from different departments. So we have different kind of people that are coming together. And that can be done both virtually, like we do today, but a lot of, like I said in the beginning, innovation become a little bit stronger when you have random people that meet each other, or you put people together with different domains of expertise, and you are sitting in or standing somewhere, and you put your post-its there, and that information and that flow becomes sometimes better than we are able to do on Teams or Slack or things like that. So it's a lot about understanding which one do have the ideas in your organization and who are really good at executing them. And when you put that team together, we see that it's over 50% faster for them to get to solutions. So that's one on the innovation side.
Thank you so much, Jan. Monica, is that the same experience you're having when you start sitting down with all these different companies or your clients that are looking at a different way of design their office space? Could you tell me a bit more? What would be the first step for an office for a company to start looking at designing the best space?
Yeah. Thank you for a question. What would be the first step? I think it's to understand what is your expectation. So I think it really needs to start from a top, to have the vision, the strategy, and if you are trying to also change something within the company, whether it's the vision, strategy, whether it's the company's culture, it often can be done together with the change of the office itself, office space itself. So it's better digested by its users. So first of all, it needs to be, the vision and the strategy needs to be set. And I think the more, I would very much refer to what Jan was saying, to have like a future-proof solution, not to design something for just what you need right now, because often the designing process is starting before even the space exists. Currently, we are designing for companies where the construction of the building has just started, so it won't be available for another 2 years. So obviously, we are very much curious to understand the needs of the company, how they work, what are the routines of their employees, how the teams work together. But at the same time, we need to design a solution which would accommodate their future needs as well. So the people don't have to adjust to the space, but the space can easily adjust to your needs. What is your needs today? What do I need to do today? What am I going to need to do in the future? So definitely we are looking for a future-proof solution. And what we also experience is that it's a change of the mindset, basically. And once the decision is made, it has to be strongly promoted from the top management to be better accepted by the rest of the employees. So definitely it needs to be driven from the top. if there are some exceptions, let's say I want to have my office or this team wants to have their own space, it then starts causing some conflicts. So it's good to have a certain direction and stick to it.
Got it. Thank you so much. So now listening to the both of you, and then it's from the occupier mindset. Now the occupier actually needs to find that asset it's part of real estate, an office building that actually would also indeed allow the company to build a certain office space. Bogdan, how should landlords actually act in that world? How should landlords now act on the future of office space?
Well, I would say that the first thing would be to better understand that we are right now more in a buyer's market, where, as all of the panelists said, tenants tend to have a lot more desires and needs maybe than before, when just one people or a group of people decided for the entire company. Right now, each member of the company has a word to say about the way they want to spend their working hours. So I would say that this is the first thing, listening to your potential customer. Then using that information together with data, because you need to measure. If you don't have ways to measure, there are definitely consultants that can help you with that. Get the right data to understand how your building can better be used by different types of tenants. And I think we are getting more and more in that time where buildings are suited to different types of companies. So the tenant mix will probably in the next years will be more obvious, depending on the building's location, building size, floor plate, amenities, and so on. Then after you know all of these things as a landlord, you should probably be sure that you present them in the right way, because if you only wait for the tenant to jump into your office and say they want those offices, it will probably not happen as before. You need to be there. We see a lot of landlords actually starting to engage in own marketing campaigns, and this was totally unseen in the past. The relationship with brokers, as I said, is changing. They see consultant agents acting more as consultants than just as brokerage companies that just bring any request to the table. So I say that using technology in order to make sure the fit is right will save time and money for all sides.
Thank you so much. So, and Bart, that basically leads me to you, because we've spoken about space and the design and how different teams interact with each other. But now I'm of course also curious, is it still about space, or is it also, and as your advisory firm also in hospitality, are different amenities now being requested by occupiers, by companies? Is hospitality becoming more of an important factor for the office space, additional premium services?
It's more about the quality, hopefully, for the future regarding the projects. As we all mentioned, we are talking about the real estate at the end, let's say, but generally it's about the people, how the people want to feel in their workplaces, in the places that they are working, spending time, working on innovations and different steps. And I believe that it's more about the quality of the buildings, about quality of the workplaces, about how do we analyze and how we work in the next in our teams, let's say, because we are not working with the whole companies, but with our nearest teams. They are bigger, smaller. Now they are in this size. Next month they are different size. Regarding the amenities, I believe that something will definitely change, because when we look on the last 2, 3, 4 years, The office buildings were like places that people could live. You know, the canteens, restaurants, pubs, fitness clubs, small hospitals, let's say, and now everything is just changing. We faced many clients who were very, you know, astonished about having the hospital in their in the complex, not even in the building, but in the bigger complex. So definitely the changes will appear on the market, and some working expectations as well. Going to the expectations from tenants, we definitely see the pressure on the rents. It's something absolutely visible, and the pressure is like a first post-COVID, post-pandemic, let's say, obvious expectation. Definitely bigger budget for the fit outs, just to keep the building in the good way, but also the office space in the correct shape. Another point is that we can see, it's from the from perspective of the tenants. We always mentioned, and I read this morning in the very popular newspaper, one very important guy who mentioned future workplace will be smaller in terms of the square meters per head. I was some kind of astonished by that. Definitely we will lose some spaces that are not needed anymore, like playrooms, big common areas, because it's something definitely not used in the 100%, let's say, and it's some kind of the waste of money at the same time. And definitely will put the more pressure on better analyzing. And I believe that some, you know, savings or are not only on in terms of the money calculation by square meters, which is cheaper, which is more expensive, but also about the potential to work in such a workplace, about our productivity, about those areas that we can, you know, not measure obviously, but we will see it in the not in the short term, because in the short term we can see smaller rent, for example, but loss of the innovation productivity we will see in the middle goals or the long-term goals, which is, in my opinion, very important, and we should be very curious about how to address properly those spaces, and how to address this kind of challenges ahead of the companies and the workplaces as well.
Thank you so much. So listening to all four of you, everyone, each of you says it's based on data, understanding what the needs are, the requirements, not only from employees, but also the vision, so the executive team, about the vision of the company. So it means that companies really start to do research internally to understand where they are, where they're going to be going forward. Jan, just a question to you, and then we'll drop to the questions on the audience. Question to you. So would that be a once in a 5 years time that you would do a research in your company? What would be your recommendation for any company? How often should they actually just have a good, thorough research in their company, their teams, and understand the needs and how information flows? Or would that be something that they should maybe even do every 3 or 6 months? What would be your recommendation? I think you're muted, Jan. Sorry.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. So no, it's really about. Yeah, can you restate the question?
Yeah, no, of course. So so the future of the office can only start if you understand what your company needs. So it's based on data. Yeah.
I'm back. So no, I think what we do is when we look at the organization as a network, that becomes a baseline. So we talk to people and we crunch the data, whether it's from people, technology, or from space and IoT, whatever it is. We bring that together so we can see how this organization actually works today. That becomes the baseline. And whatever change initiatives that you are making will impact the organization. So that means that the platform we are building will be a real time, so you can see it real time. but right now when we're not all ready, we typically say measuring at least bi-monthly or monthly. And the nice thing is, whatever it's a strategy initiative you do, or you are changing the office, the organizational network will respond. So you can see, is this really coming together? Are the right people now talking or connecting? So it's a really important way to see how your changes is actually impacting your organization. So I think that that becomes really, really important moving forward. And for all of you that are working with workspace or organizational work, it will be important to understand, whatever you do as a consultant, how is it impacting your client? And that's why you would want them to do this more often and not do the top down. I think that's a mistake that a lot of leader groups are doing when they do this crafting the back to the office strategy and make that top-down process. That's not what we need right now. And if you have really important talents and they see that you're pressing anything on them, they will find another place to work. So it becomes important to understand how this flow over time. I think that's important. Yeah.
Thank you. And if I listen to you really carefully, you're basically saying it doesn't harm to do it maybe too many times, then not enough, just to purely understand what's happening in your organization. All right. So we have a question from the audience. So I'm just gonna ask, each one of you to answer the question. And Jan, as we're talking already, I'll ask the question to you first. So it is a question from, let me quickly see, Irena. And the question is, how are companies working, your company, currently working at the moment, and what's your preference? So, and there's three answers possible. It's either remote, physically, or hybrid. So how is your company currently working? And what would be your preference?
We are working remote, so we have an office in Oslo, Stockholm, also in Serbia and Romania. So we work, but still, I just wanted to say that office is also a network, because you do have, let's say you have your headquarters, you have a local place. Some people are going on a co-working space, some people stay at home. So we also need to facilitate where people actually work in an important way. But so we are moving now. I would say before Christmas we will be moving into a co-working space with the right people, investors and other technology companies. And that's the way that we will do it. So it will be a hybrid way of doing it.
Thank you so much. And Bogdan, for you?
We are hybrid, definitely. We have an office in a co-work. I'm here right now. We have a team office. We can use all the amenities of a flex environment, and the team may choose and adjust the way they are working. But we highly recommend each of the team members to make sure that the way they choose how they work in certain activities is matched with the required performance and innovation, creativity, as Jan said, because we are innovation driven, so we need that type of encounter.
Thank you so much. And Bart?
It's pretty interesting, because actually in our company we are working from the office from almost very beginning. We allowed our team to work hybrid, home, from a client's offices as well. But generally, in our company, we are lucky because we like each other and working together due to some innovation and idea changing between teams, people, etc. So mainly we work from office.
Thank you so much. And then, of course, saving the best for last, Monica, build and design companies. I'm really curious now, the answer to the question.
Well, we have our offices which we are outgrowing right now, so we are in a process of trying to find the best solution for us for the new offices, where we will be relocating early next year, hopefully. And one of the reasons is that we are outgrowing, but also the existing offices are not basically meeting our current needs. It's basically the same situation like we are facing with our clients. They were designed not that long ago, but because our routines have changed, we need to adjust the space to meet our requirements. So this is also one of the reasons we will be moving. But basically, to answer your questions, it is the hybrid model. We give the people freedom to choose where they want to work from. Obviously, lots of our colleagues are on site, and for some, I like to go to the office as much as I can. Because it's all about teamwork, and obviously architects, the creative stuff, often it's supported by the teamwork. So but it's good to have the choice, and as other panelists say, it's the outcome, the results. Everyone has the choice to find the right model for them to deliver the best solution.
Thank you so much. We actually have another question from the audience, from Nicola. So I'll stay with you, Monica, and allow you to answer that question first. So the question is, what is the biggest change COVID brought to the office space?
What is the biggest change? I would say everyone, even the most conservative people, would now admit that individual work can be done from anywhere. So it's the flexibility and variability of the space. People can carry on the work. Everyone learned how to use the tools, which we probably even had some of them before. We just didn't use them fully. So we learned many things during those 18 months. We gained lots of new skills. We can now work remotely. I think what is the biggest change, I would say, it's the purpose of the office space, which has changed. Before, it was the place where we go to do the work. Now the reasons why we go to the office is to meet with your colleagues, to have a team brainstorming, to just have a random chat with a colleague you don't normally work very closely with, to have a chat about the weekend while waiting for the coffee at the coffee machine. And this brings some sharing ideas, basically, which you wouldn't normally share while you are only working remotely. So it's this transmission of the information which you would be excluded if you stay on a home office or basically working remotely only. So I think this is the biggest change. Is the purpose of the office space. It's not necessarily the place where you carry on the work, but it's the place where you come to meet with people face to face.
The personal human interaction.
Exactly.
Thank you. And Jan, what would be the biggest change?
Yeah, my hope would be breaking down the hierarchy. So, and I think that's exactly what happened, because people now need to take more responsibility. The managers that are the typical power managers that like to keep everyone ranked nicely is becoming an undying species, I hope, and that we have the focus and flow, and really, for me, it's the expertise that is the new currency, not the power of the managers.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. Bogdan, I see you nodding. But what, according to you, what is the biggest change?
I love both previous answers, and I would add to that I think it changed a lot the decision process. So maybe in the past we saw office as the constant, and everyone was looking the same way at the office space, either landlords, tenants, and brokers. It was just a matter of the transaction, how the transaction will be made. Whereas right now, I think everyone has a lot of different opinions on what the office space means today and what it will mean in the next years. So the decision-making process is definitely changed and will continue to change in the next years. I'm looking forward to see how this will be in 5 to 7 years.
Thank you so much. Bart, according to you, the biggest change?
In my opinion, the biggest change is that probably everyone realized that the business cannot survive without the offices. Because at the end, we are talking that you don't need the office, and this is something extremely important, I believe, that you don't need to be in office from 9 to 5 p.m. every day. You don't need to be in the office to make a very good deals. You don't need the office to, you know, to increase your turnovers in your companies, grow your business. But at the end, you cannot train the best talents. You cannot use your team. You cannot be innovative. So at the end, the office is some kind of the catalyst to increase in the business. And in my opinion, when we just really based on the data and really not on the feelings from the people around the business, and try to listen to the business, try to based on the data, we know then that the office will definitely need it in the future in the absolutely different way than 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but definitely it's something that we will need to keep the business growing and people growing companies, teams, talents, etc.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I just got notified. I didn't even was paying attention to the time. There's apparently only 2 minutes left. And I know we would love to get the feedback from the audience. So actually, I would love to ask the audience just to take a poll. It should be in your screen right now. Please take your time to give us your feedback. In the meantime, I also just want to quickly wrap it up and actually just ask every one of you just one more question. And this is basically just ending the sentence. So I'll start it and then each one of you can finish it. So Bart, as we're speaking. So according to you, the office space of the future will be, you can fill it in.
Will be very interesting.
I like that one. Bogdan, the office space of the future will be?
Definitely flexible.
Thank you so much. Jan, the office space of the future will be? Jan, I'm sorry, you're muted.
A crib for innovation.
Oh, nice, nice set. Monica, last but not least, the office space of the future will be?
Well, I believe it should be welcoming and inspiring.
Fantastic. So I can only hope that that is indeed the case. And to be honest, listening to you with all the information, all the different expertise and fields that you operate in, I have the feeling it's going to be that direction precisely. So I'm personally very excited about the future of the space. Thank you so much to the audience. Thank you for being here. Monica, Jan, Bart, Bogdan, thank you so much. We really hope that everyone that was here learned and is taking away some learnings. And lastly, of course, a big thank you for RE News, Real Estate News. I wish you all a great day. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.